Hi, I'm Dwayne and this is The Dish. Today on The Dish we're going to be making a barbecue platter. It's going to be a pulled pork barbecue. Everything is going to be homemade, from the bun all the way to the sauce and to the pulled pork itself. We're also going to have that with a really nice tasty coleslaw and some sweet potato fries. But in order to do this dinner the right way, we have to turn back time. So we're going to turn back the hands of time to yesterday. So now that I've successfully turned back the hands of time and it's actually yesterday, we're going to have to put together our spice rub. This is the easiest spice rub for barbecue pork you could ever think of. So here it is. You've got a tablespoon of thyme, a tablespoon of salt, a tablespoon of cayenne pepper, a tablespoon of black pepper, and 2 tablespoons of smoky paprika. What we're going to do is we're going to combine those all together and then apply them to the pork roast. So here we go. Give everything a good mix. And we're going to go ahead and apply that to our pork shoulder. We want to get it completely around, so you're going to make sure you coat the entire thing. Get right in there and rub it in. Turn it on its side. Get the sides real good. Get underneath. The more spice rub you've got, the merrier. No problem if it's too much. All around. The rest goes on top. Make sure you coat the entire roast, all the exposed parts, just like that. And then we're going to cover it with plastic. Put this in the refrigerator overnight so the flavors meld all together with the meat. And we'll see you in 24 hours. So now our rib rub has sat on our pork butt, which is our about 5-pound pork butt, overnight. And all the flavors are now starting to incorporate into the meat. We're going to put it into a roasting pan. This is a smaller piece of meat, so I'm going to use kind of a medium-sized pan, something that's large enough that I'm going to get, I'm not going to crowd the meat. I don't want to crowd it. I want to give it plenty of room for the heat to get around it, because what we want to do is we want to create like a crust on it, what they call bark. So we're going to put this right here in our pan with no oil or anything like that, and any of the excess rub that fell off of it, you can go ahead and make sure that you get that right back on there, because not only is that going to flavor the meat, but when this is all said and done, there are going to be some drippings in the pan, and we're going to take that, the drippings out, and we're going to add that to our sauce that we're going to be making in just a few minutes. So that goes into the roasting pan, and we're going to put this in the 350-degree oven for about an hour and a half. And within that hour and a half, we're probably going to give this a couple of turns so that we get some even heat distribution around the entire piece. So in the oven it goes. Well, our pork is in the oven for its first hour and a half of cooking. We're going to put together a cooking liquid that the roast is going to cook in for the majority of its time, but also is going to serve as a base for our sauce. So you're going to need the following ingredients. You're going to need 2/3 of a cup of beer. You're going to need 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. You're going to need 2 cups of chicken broth or chicken stock. You're going to need a 1/2 cup of cider vinegar. You're going to need a 1/2 cup of soy sauce, 4 teaspoons of minced onion, 4 teaspoons of dry mustard, a few drops of liquid smoke. So what we're going to do is combine this all into a saucepan that we're going to simmer on the stove for about an hour. And I forgot to mention, you also need to put in your cooking liquid a 1/2 cup of sugar. So now that this is all combined, we're going to place this on the stove on a low simmer for about an hour while our meat is in the oven. We'll see you in just a bit. Okay, well, it's an hour and a half later, and 2 things have happened. First of all, we've got our pork butt that has been roasting in the oven, and you can see that you have a lot of nice dark areas on it, and those are going to create a tremendous amount of flavor to our barbecue. The second thing that's happened is we've got our cooking liquid that's been simmering on the stove, and that's all ready to go too. So you have 2 choices now. You can place this with the cooking liquid back in the oven, or you can place it in a crock pot. And I'm going to use the crock pot because we're going to have the oven doing some other things today. So I'm going to put my meat in the crock pot to start out. And right in there it went. The next thing that we're going to do is we need to add something to our cooking liquid. That's going to be the drippings from the meat that we had in the oven. So in order to deglaze that pan and deglaze those flavors off there, I'm going to use the remaining amount of the beer that we used earlier. We're just going to pour that in. And just break off the bits from the pan. Now this pan that I'm using is a metal pan, so we don't have to worry about damaging it. If you were using enamel or something like that, you might have to be a little bit more careful that you don't want to damage your pan deglazing it. You could also place this back on the stove. I think that this is going to be hot enough that we're going to be able to get those bits off of there. All this extra flavor from these bits are going to make your sauce that much better. Okay, to make this even a little bit easier, I think what I'm going to do is add my cooking liquid to it. And that's going to help me get those bits off of the bottom of the pan. Use this spoon. Okay, I don't think there's too much more sitting on the bottom, so we're in pretty good shape. Okay, now I'm going to pour the cooking liquid in the crock pot with the pork, just like that. It's not going to cover the entire thing, that's okay. As long as it comes up about halfway. There we go. Now this is going to get placed in my crock pot. And we're going to put this on a high setting for our crock pot, and we're going to basically roast this in there until the meat just shreds with a fork. I'm not exactly sure how long that's going to be. It's going to depend on the size of the roast and the heat of the crock pot. So I will check it periodically, and we'll be back when it's done.